Okay, look, here we are, all the way into the city to do an episode. No, that's not why we came, but we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Link. So stick around to the end of the episode to go over Link, because I think it's going to be an important part of our financial and market process. We're also going to take a very quick look at the S&P 500 and the volatility index to get a nice rounded view of where we are in the markets. So if we dive into the screen, we can see in front of our charts here, Bitcoin on the daily. Now, one of the reasons why I always start here is because it reminds me how long it takes to get from a selling climax to an SOS. And we're currently around 800 days into this process. Now, if you measure, just to go over this again, from the selling climax to where we are, 700 days, actually, just to be clear, to get to this point in the SOS. So if we drop in on the 4 hour, there's a few things I would like to go over. One of the key points is very noticeable here. Now, this ascending channel, we've called this a rising gradient bottom in multiple times before. And what we see is as soon as we broke out above this channel, we went right to the next top of the regression area. Now we're in a pretty key area to want to either come down and test 12,000 before testing up $14,000, $15,000, or just make one straight run all the way to 14,000 before coming down and testing some of these regression lines. Now again, the important part here is letting the market tell us what it's going to do. We've been watching this momentum move further and further each step of the way, and now's not a time to get impatient. Now, this SOS, I've speculated a few times that I thought we would see somewhere between, let's just say it comes down here, tests this regression line, comes up to 14,600, tests the regression line one more time, gets a jump out above 16,000, maybe comes back down, makes a sort of like a hyperbolic top, and then or a hypodermic top. It comes back down and then tests the $12,000 area before continuing after its backup phase. So I'm quite bullish in Bitcoin. That would put us into the backup phase and starting to turn around January into March, which does fit our previous thesis of follow the springtime into the fall. I know it sounds so simple, but that's exactly what happened this time. Pretty much from March 11th, the Ides of March, into fall, exactly the start of September, is when the market cycle went up and started to come back down and go sideways. So if we drop in and we take a look at Ethereum here, we actually see quite a bit of... Now, on the 4 hour, one of the things I wanted to go over, actually we'll go here on the daily, one of the things I wanted to go over was this type of reaccumulation pattern. So this type of reaccumulation pattern where we actually have two separate channels, we have this green channel at the top and then this pink channel at the bottom, followed like our BCLX, our AR, and then we hit our secondary tests and our springs before we broke outside the box. This is one of the weaker reaccumulation patterns. Now, that's not to mean it's going to be a weak bull market in Ethereum. It's just at this particular moment, this reaccumulation pattern is showing us that it's not going to be hyper bullish, whereas the rising gradient channel that we just saw in Bitcoin, and as well we'll take a look at in Link, is a significantly stronger potential outcome. Now, again, there is no exact way this takes place, so all we can do is watch the markets. So we saw a perfect SOS, and now we've come back to test the top of the box. This is exactly what we were looking for, and we're pretty much in a great spot. So if we go into the 15-minute, now the internet's a little slow here, but I just wanted to show this, this kind of stopping action, because this is really important. See here as we came down, I'm going to circle, look at all this volume that came in. This is extremely important because it basically formed this current rejection bottom before it turned around. So from the rejection of that bottom to where we are now, we're around 2.5% up. But more importantly, I want to use Link as a kind of outgoing example. So we'll start here by looking at it on the daily. And I want to make conjecture here that goes back quite some time. Now, I don't have it drawn on this chart. I do believe it's on Link versus Bitcoin. So hopefully this all comes across smoothly. The internet is way slower in the city, considering. So this is what I wanted to take a look at. Here we see the accumulation box right here. Here's the top of the channel. Here is your first breakout, your SOS, your first backup, your second SOS, your second LPS, second OSOS, third LPS, second, and so on. This ended up equaling quite a big move into Link, and I suggest that this is actually the start of wave 4. So if we look at Link versus US dollar right now, I think this is one of the interesting parts to take advantage of, is we can see our trading range that had formed as a rising gradient bottom, and we had our SOS, and now we're forming our LPS. So we have a little bit more room to the downside potentially here, to around $10.70, $10.90, which is right straight across the line where our VPVR is as well, which is the point of control. This yellow dotted line here is our point of control, which is the most amount of volume for buy and sell on this particular area of the chart. So now that we're seeing this SOS phase, I'm starting to get really excited. Because these are going to likely continue to move alongside Bitcoin. Now, one of the big market indicators that we want to keep an eye on is the VIX. Now, one of the really interesting things about the VIX today is that even though we had, what is this, 20% up on the VIX, like a huge amount of volatility coming into the market, Bitcoin's price only fluctuated like 1%. That is amazing. That's one of the least effective volatility spikes that we've seen so far, and I think it represents again that diminished supply and increased demand statistic that we're really looking for to confirm a bull market. Now, I speculate that we confirmed the bull market in March 11th at the beginning of the pandemic, but that's a whole nother story. For those of you that are studying the Wyckoff method, you'll know exactly why. So when we have such a big spike on the VIX and such little reaction on the Bitcoin chart, I actually do suspect this is going to lead into our favor. Now, I want to take a last look here at the S&P 500 as it dipped, and we've been using it to kind of calculate a pretty important part of interest, which is where are we in this trading range. Now, as you can see on the screen right now, we've actually fallen into the trading range, not below it. But here's the top of the line, here's the bottom. We've fallen just into the trading range. Now, a big part of what happens next is going to be, do we come above and close above that, or do we start to come back down below and close below that? Now, we're only like 2 weeks out until November, so we're right around the corner from kind of knowing what's going to happen in these markets. So I want to remind everyone that this is just the beginning of the bull market. We've been saying that for months now. This is still an accumulation range, so just accumulate, basically. It's a pretty simple strategy from that point of view. If you are new to trading, don't enter a trade unless you know where you are in the markets. Now, if you're investing, you just want to keep buying more Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, whatever, Link, whatever it might be, you do that. But to be a good trader and investor, you need rules and a strategy. Things like a stop loss, a take profit, and to know where you are in the markets. And once you have that, it can be extremely profitable. Anyways, we're gonna leave it at that. It's Tio with the Arcane Bear, signing off from the middle of the city today. Look at this, this is a fun one. We're gonna actually just slide the camera over here. Look at that outside. Look at this outside. There's an outside, hold on. Wait, hold on. Oh yeah, there you go. You can't really see, but there's an outside there. There's an outside. You know, I could probably get better at doing this, but whatever, we're just gonna leave it like that. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. See you again on the other side.